welcome to another episode of r/today I did an oopsie, Tfue by becoming an accidental active school shooter. This happened in the aughties. TLDR below. My relatively small HS held an unexpected live active shooter drill. It was the first time they had ever done this. I don't know who developed this genius procedure. It actually makes no sense because of how they initiated it. We had once previously practiced what to do in this event maybe a week prior. Kind of casually. The teachers were aware of the timing of this drill but didn't tell us because the trauma would help us react better? No idea. In fact, I remember our teacher, and likely all others, calling in at one point probably to check in that everybody was accounted for. However, it so happened that I was kicked out of class just prior to the announcement. My teacher was pretty flustered after minutes of me being a clown, and just yelled at me to get out, but he was super frantic about me getting to the office immediately. Now I understand why. His mistake. But I played my part soon after. On my way to the office, I was taking my time of course. The lights went out as though a main breaker were flipped. Just the way they all went out immediately. Emergency exit lights came on, and the principal came over the intercom telling all teachers some code phrase which basically initiated the lock up lights out car in the corner procedure. I was truly in a WTF state. Here's where I F up. Now I am the only dummy walking the hallways. Given the layout of this building, when I tell you it was dark, I mean you could hardly see your own hand dark, even with the small distant exit emergency light down the hall, and it was completely silent now. It all happened in a matter of seconds. I can't say I was scared necessarily because we all knew that there'd likely be a live drill at some point. Still, given my aversion to our principal since I was in trouble a lot, and not knowing what to do, I just ran following the wall with my hand back to my class and started banging on the door. I assumed my teacher knew what was happening and I didn't want to be in more trouble so I just yelled, "Hey, let me in." The entire class of 20 kids in the dark instantly screamed at the top of their lungs, which then caused the adjacent classroom, who was also in complete darkness, no windows on this side of the building, to also start screaming and panicking. This coalescence of fear became so loud that nobody knew what the hell was happening, and the teachers were of course required to keep the doors shut no matter what. Nor were they supposed to communicate with anyone outside their door till given an all clear as far as I recall. Again, this was not a well thought out plan. Now of course, my teacher must have called the office, but the message wasn't relayed properly and I'll never know what he told them, because somebody came around the corner and in the loudest voice I had heard in my life said, "Get on the ground." There was a police officer visiting the school to oversee the drill, so whether he was taking the opportunity to do his part in acting or really thought I somehow picked the worst possible day to commit mass murder, I don't know. He did not have his gun drawn, just his flashlight. He grabbed me up and took me to the office. The rest was a huge blur, but essentially I was not punished for that. But I got extra shit for my classroom behavior given the context. There was an assembly held the same day where we were all apologized to for not running this drill knowingly first. Parents were pissed. It was a whole thing. TLDR. Became unaccounted for just as an active school shooter drill was initiated. Ran around and scared the life out of roughly 50 people. Edit. Spelling. Tfue and my son ended up thinking Santa Claus was stealing penises. So my wife comes home after picking our 2 youngest kids up from school. She opens the door and goes, "Did you say something about Santa Claus stealing penises?" I reply, "I didn't say any shit like that. I would never ruin Christmas." Here's how we got there. I have 2 daughters and a son. My son was 3 or 4 at the time. He refused to wear clothes and ran around naked or in his underwear. My daughters weren't having any of it and were like, "This is your department, old man. Do something." I tried to reason with my son and that just didn't work. I was thinking that I needed something to use that he was afraid to lose. He's a tiny kid. He'll play with a cardboard box and be happy. That's when he came running past me with both hands on his junk. That's it. He loves his dong. I love my dong. Me and my penis are tight. So my son and youngest daughter are eating lunch. I look across the table and go, "Hey big guy, you know how sometimes you can't go to sleep cause you think there's something in your closet?" Hesitantly. Yes, I didn't want to scare you but you're old enough to know now. His eyes got wide and my daughter had a puzzled look on her face. She's 4 years older. I go, there's a goblin that lives in your closet, and if you don't do what you're supposed to, like wear underwear and clothes, he creeps out at night while you're asleep and steals your penis. He incredulously responds, "Nah." I reassure, "Oh yeah, what do you think happened to your mom and sisters?" At this point my youngest daughter loses her mind laughing. She's holding her sides and almost falls out of her seat. My son was dead silent. I could almost hear him thinking, damn, they don't have dongs. So where does Santa Claus come in? After I told my wife I would never ruin Christmas, she tells me she heard our son say to our daughter, "You must have done something really bad for Santa Claus to steal your penis." My guy confused goblins with Santa somehow and thought Santa Claus was roaming around with a big red sack full of stolen dongs. Fear not. I straightened him out. I googled pics of Santa and pics of goblins from the movie Labyrinth. TLDR. Tried to scare my son into wearing underwear and he ended up thinking Santa Claus was stealing dongs. Youtuber link. The bad kids get coal, and the super bad kids get their dongs stolen. What if you're a girl? Then you get one. Tifu bisexually harassing a 9-year-old boy. Tifu, and it actually happened today. I was driving with my 12-year-old daughter. We got caught at a red light next to a restaurant. I glanced at the restaurant and saw a kid walking in the parking lot by himself. It looked like my daughter's friend Gabe. I said to her, "Is that?" And before I could even finish, she said yes. So I suggested we say hi to him. I rolled down my window and screamed Gabe. The kid turned around, and that's when I realized it wasn't Gabe. It was a younger boy, maybe 9 years old. So here's the thing. This kid isn't Gabe. God only knows if he's even heard the name Gabe before. And it's a busy intersection, so it's noisy. The kid had such a puzzled and embarrassed look on his face, and he ran to his car. And that's when I realized, this 9-year-old kid thinks a middle-aged woman just rolled down her car window, screamed gay at him, and drove away. My daughter laughed her ass off at me. Too long didn't read. I called an elementary school kid gay while stopped at a red light. Edited for a typo. The kid was walking, not waking, not wanking, just walking. Creepy woman that called me gay from her car. Let's not meet. We're gonna be seeing a post like that in a few years. Tifu by pretending not to be Korean. So I'm Korean Canadian but was born in Canada and have grown up here my entire life. I speak Korean but it's about at the level of a talented 10-year-old with a funny Canadian accent. Duck up happened yesterday. I'm walking down the sidewalk and who I assume are a man and his daughter, who appears around my age, are puzzling in Korean over a directory sign. I ask, in Korean, if they need any help. The dad seems excited to meet someone who speaks Korean. The girl seems shy and doesn't say much besides thanks. They're looking for a nearby mall so I offer to walk them over there since the train station I need is nearby anyway. The dad asks me where I learned to speak Korean so well. This is where the duck up begins. I'm pretty insecure about my spoken Korean. So when the dad asks where I learned the language, it sounds like he thinks it's obvious I'm not actually Korean. It doesn't help that his daughter is ridiculously pretty, and I want to impress her for some reason. So, I lie. Stupid idea. I say I'm actually Chinese and learned Korean on my spare time. Changing my skills from mediocre for a Korean person to impressive for a Chinese person. Alas. The dad immediately switches to Mandarin which I can't speak a word of. This would have been the time to come clean. Instead, panicking at having been exposed, I do my best confused face and then pretend I misspoke and said the Korean word for Chinese, Jungkook, when I in fact meant Japanese, Ilban. Haha. Sorry, my Korean isn't very good, right? Of course. The daughter suddenly bursts into fluent and excited Japanese, which I also can't speak a word of. I'm in too deep at this point and can't tell them I'm Vietnamese or some other variety of Asian without making myself even more suspicious. So I do the only logical thing and say I am indeed Japanese but don't actually speak Japanese, but learned Korean cause lol I'm a traitor to my Japanese heritage. We reach the mall and I'm all too happy to bail at this point. But the girl, who suddenly seems super interested in me, asks, now in practically perfect English, damn polyglots, What I do, I say I go to the local university. She excitedly tells me that she's starting at the same university in September and that she has just arrived in Canada from Korea. Her dad seems just as excited by this news and asks me to take care of her once school starts and he goes back to Korea. It turns out that the girl is actually Japanese but went to some exchange program in Korea for a few years, and that the dad is actually her Chinese-born Korean teacher/sponsor who accompanied her to Canada. So, not only did I pretend not to be Korean to two people who weren't even Korean, but I pretended to be Chinese to a Chinese man and have now convinced a Japanese girl that I'm Japanese. So I exchanged contact information with the girl and we've been talking a lot online since yesterday. Turns out she's super nice and funny and interesting and accomplished. We have a ton in common too. We have the same major, and we're the same age. Though she's 3 years behind me because of her exchange program. She seems super stoked to be friends with me since she doesn't know anybody in Canada and has been talking to me a lot. I'm becoming increasingly aware that I can't pretend to be Japanese forever to this girl and I need to tell her I'm actually Korean. But early on she asked me about my family and I went even deeper into the lie, telling her my parents are from Kyoto, picked a random city, etc. I've done ducked up, read it, and I feel terrible about it. Too long didn't read, I'm Korean. Pretended to be Chinese to a Chinese man. Then pretended to be Japanese to an awesome Japanese girl and I'm now her first friend in Canada. Based on a dirty lie. Edit. OHHH duck I think she just asked Emmy out but I'm not sure and I haven't come clean yet help. Edit 2. Night of the second day. Thank you all for the sage advice. I have not yet perished of seppuku as some have feared, although it is increasingly seeming the most promising solution. I'm sure she'd oblige me and do the beheading part. Anyway, I do think we're going on a date tomorrow and I thought I should come clean in person rather than over text. We'll keep you all updated. Unless I die. I haven't even been on a date in over 2 years so that's already blowing my mind. Especially her asking me out. As some have pointed out, I am kinda concerned that she's only interested in me because she thinks I'm Japanese. But I think that's more to do with her being more comfortable in a foreign country, Canada, when her first friend is a fellow Japanese person. Maybe I'm terrible at social cues and she just wants to hang out as a friend. In any case, I'll explain it all to her tomorrow in the hopes of being a little less of an a-hole. There's no solving that completely. Wish me luck in as many languages as you can. Reddit. Gamza Hamnada. Also, they don't use Reddit much in Japan and Korea, do they? I'd hate to be busted via a Reddit thread QQ. Edit 3. Still night of the second day. Oh duck guys I duck ED up again. I was afraid she might stumble upon this post so I asked her if she has heard of Reddit cause I'm a ducking idiot and she said no. Much to my relief. But then she asked if she should check it out and I just realized this is going on the front page at this rate and she's gonna find it. Somebody order an airstrike on me, why am I so stupid? Don't lie, kids, lying is very bad. Edit 4. Still night of the second day. Okay I think crisis averted for now. She just went to sleep without any sign of having read this. I'm also going to attempt to sleep and hope I wake up Japanese. Will update. Sayonara. Reddit. If it's any consolation, this sounds like the first episode of a K-drama. But that means it'll end with one of us dying of cancer or getting hit by a car. LOL what? It's obviously going to end with you finding out that you were adopted by your family from a Japanese home and that you actually were childhood friends with a girl and you two promised to marry one another before you were taken to Korea, which caused her to enter the exchange program in hopes of one day finding you. Do you even drama bro? Bro, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content. It's free and that's a great price.